Well, hello, hello. If you landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. Hopefully, you landed here intentionally. I'm your host, Leticia Romero, and we have lots to talk about tonight because the revolving door of nominations in the Democrat Party is moving again. It's almost deja vu, right? Wasn't it 2024 when Joe Biden, in his poor debate performance, soon after, as George Clooney and others called for him to step out of the race? Didn't he do just that? But then handpick his nominee, Kamala Harris, to take his place. Well, something similar is afoot in Maine. And, it's interesting because the Biden thing, everybody saw it coming. Everybody knew Joe was just not on his game, but they pretended that he was. And they did the same thing in Maine with Graham Platner, who is the Democrat nominee for Senate. He's the guy with the Nazi tattoo. He's the guy who women have accused him of being aggressive and inappropriate. And the Democrats, one after another, just shrugged it off. Those are the same people that say, believe the woman no matter what she says. They shrugged it off and said he changed and that they didn't think that the women that were coming forward were credible. But guess what? A new woman has come forward. And suddenly, all the Democrats believe this woman. I wonder why. First, I want to say good evening to Kevin Young, I'm sorry. How are you, Kevin? Hello, Francine. Good to see you. Kevin Wall from the other side of the earth, but the same side of the issues, will not be joining us live tonight. He wrote on the wall. He will be watching us in reruns, but I hope others like Francine, like Andrew Dorman, we said hello to Francine already, and others might join us shortly. But in the meanwhile, let's take a look at what all the brouhaha is and the accusation that is coming, the newest accusation against Graham Platner.
A growing number of party leaders are calling on Platner to exit the race after a woman he used to date accused Platner of forcing himself onto her in late 2021. So far, Platner and his campaign have denied the sexual assault allegation.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
Democrats were banking on a Platner win against Senator Susan Collins, a Republican who currently holds the seat. But experts say the sexual assault allegation has threatened Democrats' chance of winning. The party needs to gain 4 seats to take control of the Senate. Maine was widely considered a must-win for that math to work. By law, Platner has until next Monday to officially withdraw his name from the ballot. And if that happens, Democrats then have 2 weeks to find a replacement and salvage any sort of hope to win this Senate seat.
So let's see if I could share my screen with you. I know I can. So if you follow the news at all, you know that Platner, there's been many allegations against Platner, and every single one of them has been shrugged off. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to get to a clip of Bernie Sanders doing just that, shrugging it off. But this woman who dated Graham Platner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections, and Platner denies it. The woman is 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rayciot. Detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man Rayciot dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident, and reviewed documents, including emails between Rayciot and her therapist and messages between Rayciot and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. Rayciot said she had an on and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. Quote, I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me, she said. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, this is no longer my choice. Platner denied the allegations. He says they're troubling and false and blah, blah, blah. Reisikat previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Platner to the New York Times, but said she didn't go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Reisikat said she later felt compelled to go public after her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Lindsay Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. Contacted by Politico, Fifield stood by the allegation she made to the Times and declined to comment further. My part of the story was just a read over, Reisikat said in an interview, and the story was Lindsay and the accusations of her being politically motivated. Reisikat said she was torn over coming forward in part because she agrees with Platner politically. So that's interesting. But all of a sudden, they're believing this woman, huh? I mean, here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about Platner when Lindsay Fifield came forward, the Republican. Watch.
So I think when you look at politics in general, there are no saints in the United States Senate. People can argue about this aspect of Graham or another, but to my mind right now, we need allies in the United States Senate who have the guts to take on the big money that is dominating this country, who have the guts to say that every American is entitled to health care as a human right, who have the guts to say that maybe we don't give tax breaks to billionaires, but demand that they start paying their fair share of taxes. People who have the guts, and in his case, from a very personal experience, that we don't go into wars unless we know what we are fighting for and unless those wars are based on truth, not lies. I'm supporting Graham Platner.
So that was Bernie's comments after Fifield, who was a second or third person to come forward to say she had relations with him. There was another woman who said that Platner was inappropriate with her while he was married. Others were saying that he was on a platform that usually young people use, a dating platform. And I believe that he had a picture up of him in a towel, naked other than a towel. But, nobody had anything to say about it. All the Democrats were like the ones who say believe the woman, right? The ones who wanted to take down Trump, the ones who wanted to stop the Supreme Court nomination, the ones who are still going after to this day Clarence Thomas. All those people, believe the woman. The woman is always right. Don't question a woman when she says she's been raped. Questioned all the women. But now suddenly, this Reisikat is a woman that everybody wants to believe. And I wonder why. Hello, Gary Stolzenberg. And yes, it is disgusting, Francine. But the question is why? Why this woman? Why did this woman make Bernie Sanders, who said that he was sticking by Graham Platner when Fifield told her story, why did Bernie Sanders say this?
In fact, we did get a statement from the senator himself earlier this afternoon saying in part that he has spoken with Platner about the best path forward for Maine. Sanders says that in light of these very serious allegations, I have recommended that he step aside. Platner still appears on Sanders' website in a list of the senator's endorsed candidates, though.
So remember, Sanders Sanders is a puppet for basically China. Sanders is very similar to, or maybe not a tool. He's being used as a tool by Neville Roysingham. Sanders is a pure out and out socialist. He claims that he wants everybody to be equal, but he owns beach homes and has his net worth is in the high, I think it's 8 figures. And that money was earned while he was in the Senate. So what's going on here? Why did this woman make Sanders withdraw his nomination? Not just Sanders either. Khanna, AOC, Elizabeth Warren. I mean, there's a list of people who were defending this guy, Graham Platner, no matter what anybody said. And now suddenly they're all pulling their endorsements. So what's this woman have that the other women didn't have? Francine says there must be so much more, so they are afraid to continue to support him. Yeah, it could be that. It could be that. Or it could be exactly what happened with Joe, right? Joe was their perfect puppet, Joe Biden. Perfect puppet. And they were all happy to support him because he did exactly what the socialists wanted him to do. And then poor performance at the debate, and people actually realized that they couldn't hide Joe's dementia anymore. And then they scrambled. Gary said he's afraid of the blowback. He's never worked in the private sector, and I believe he has a son following the same path. You're absolutely right. They all have the same kind of MO, right? They like Soros has his son Alex. Biden has his son Hunter. Neville doesn't have children, Singham, but they get their kids involved and they create a legacy of graft. I mean that's truly it's corruption and graft. They take the money from the government and they enrich themselves while telling people that they're there for them. They bad rich people. But as much as I would love to say, this woman is being believed. No, that's not what happened. Take it from me. You're probably not going to hear it from many, but this is a very similar move to the Joe Biden situation. What happened was Platner was starting to plummet in the polls because they couldn't stop the chatter anymore. None of the news stations wanted to carry these stories about Platner. It was mostly social media, but it got out and it couldn't be stopped. And the people of Maine were unhappy. Gary says, I always envisioned the CIA taking care of things like this. Why aren't they doing their job? Yeah, well, you're right. They should be doing their job, right? But I don't know that the CIA isn't part of it, Gary. I don't know that. And honestly, part of me believes it is. Part of me believes that the deep state CIA is right in the center of the deep state. And we're the wrong president. This president is not what they want. They want America weakened because they make more money if America is weak. You understand? If America is, the land of the free and opportunity and all that stuff, then the global elites don't make their cash. They need cheap labor to make cash. And America is standing in the way of cheap labor. And they were right there. They almost had it. And the person that is trying to take it away and will take it away is Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has blown the lid wide, off of all the cover-ups, and we're getting to know the truth, and the CIA can't do shit about it. So that's why they keep trying to kill him. I don't know if it's God's intervention or if he's just that smart, and there is a group of great people protecting him, but they haven't managed to do it yet. All right, so here it is. There was a Wedgewood poll done July 4th through the 6th. It says 75% of Mainers want Platner out if another scandal emerges. And this poll began before Platner's rape accusation. Collins was leading Platner 50-46, and ties with Mills 47-47, and trails Jackson 48-43. Okay, so these are Mills and Jackson were other potential candidates. So Collins, who, just so that you know, to put this in context, Collins has never led in the polls. And all the time she was elected, the Republican never led in the polls. For her to have a lead early on was problematic for the Democrats. Very problematic for them. So what did they do? So either one of two things happened here. Either, and this is big. This is a big leap. I have nothing to back this up except for what I know about Washington and what I know about government and what I know about how they make deals and campaigning. Either the Democrats are putting their eggs in a different basket because they believe that a different candidate could do better for them, or the deep state got to Collins, which wouldn't be hard to believe because Collins has not always been a rank and file Republican. So if the deep state got to Collins and was able to buy her off, then they can basically, she can keep her seat and just do what they want. I think that's less likely than them wanting to do a switcheroo because they saw that Collins was starting to lead in the polls. So they needed a cleaner candidate. I think that they're fucked because the fact that so many Democrats were willing to stand behind Platner after so many accusations, I don't think the people of Maine are going to feel good about it. And remember, why did he win the primary? Well, because in Democrat primaries, the far, far left, which is the socialist wing, those are the ones that come out to vote. In the Republican primaries, it's the far, far right, like the religious right and the super duper Q people. Those are the ones that come out to vote, and that's why you get candidates that swing and are extreme in both direction. So let's see. Here are the top candidates for the seat. Oh, Kevin's here. How are you, Kevin? We talked about you at the top of the show. Let's see. Gary says, I recall from my days in finance, all the money men wanted a Democrat in power because the thought was the more things were fucked up, the more money was to be made. And that's the truth. This is nothing new. It's been going on forever. Because if you scare the hell out of people, they're happy to give up rights to feel safe, and that's what's happening right now. It's just fact. Okay, here are our top candidates to replace Platner should he decide to go out. Oh, by the way, Platner stated that if he leaves, he wants to pick his own successor, much like Joe Biden, huh? All right, so this guy already announced He's the former Maine Senate President Troy Jackson, a fifth-generation logger who was endorsed by Senator Bernie Sanders in Maine's Democratic gubernatorial primary, is openly considering a bid to replace Platner. Jackson filed paperwork with the Federal Election Commission to form a Senate Exploratory Committee on Tuesday. He previously told the Bangor Daily News he believes he's the best person to fill Platner's shoes. This is something I never considered, but if Graham's stepping away, I am very, very interested and think I'm the best person to replace him. Jackson told the outlet on Monday, shortly before he called on Platner to withdraw from the race. Okay, so he's a logger. Okay, you see how what they're doing. They're looking for, quote, men's men. So don't know about that. Here's another one who is a likely candidate. His name is Dan Kleben. He's a Maine Beer Company co-founder. He's another short-lived Senate candidate this year, campaigning for just a month before dropping out to endorse Governor Janet Mills for the upper chamber. Cook, Political Report, notes Kleben could offer an outsider candidate pitch that might channel the working class message of Platner without the baggage, and hasn't just lost a race for governor too. Kleben hasn't directly expressed interest, but he joined the chorus of Democrats calling for Platner's exit. For the sake of our state, he needs to step aside immediately. Mainers deserve a senator who will fight for them against the D.C. establishment while also doing what's right. So this is, another man's man, right? That's interested, or maybe interested, but he's part of the group. He's part of the cabal. Here's another guy, maybe not exactly a man's man, but he has the most money. This is Nirav Shah. He is the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention Director, who finished second to Democrat nominee Khanna Pingree, a former Maine House Speaker in the governor's race, offered himself for consideration in a Tuesday social media post. Shah, who also committed to a televised debate should he run, has touted his role helming the Maine CDC during the pandemic, noting he was later appointed to serve at the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention as Principal Deputy Director during the Biden administration. Okay, so we're moving a little bit away from the man's man concept. Here's another possibility. Pretty sure she identifies as a woman. Sheena Bellows, who as Secretary of State will likely be front and center for procedural changes if Platner drops out, is another potential contender. And we know that we have had a Secretary of State who oversaw elections, run for election against Carrie Lake in Arizona, and that stunk to holy heaven. Former state senator and executive director of the Maine branch of the American Civil Liberties Union, Bellows has served as the state's top election official since 2021. She was heavily involved in ballot initiatives around same-day voter registration and marriage equality, and she's the first woman to hold the office in Maine. So those are the top four contenders, according to those in the know. Troy Jackson, because he ran a statewide race, and so that name is familiar to people, but he was only talking to Democrats, remember, because when you're running in a primary, and that's what he was doing, he was running in a primary, he was talking to Democrats. So he didn't speak to everybody. So the general election question is still weird. Hello, Professor. Good to have you. Gary says we need a tag team candidate, someone balanced like myself and a lunatic like Scott Lebedo. Here again, if the Republicans have two people in the race, I don't know. I mean, Collins, I just don't trust Collins. I just don't. I wish she would leave, honestly, although she's more well known and she's come from behind every single time, but she's not my favorite. She's absolutely not my favorite. I don't like people that don't have balls. And I don't mean that just physically. I mean, strength of conviction. And Collins doesn't strike me as somebody who has strength of conviction. But okay, and here's the last guy, Jordan Wood. And I particularly, we slid from man's men to woman to happily married gay man, Peter Buttigieg, all over again. Wood initially ran for Senate this cycle, and he could throw his name back into the ring if Platner exits. Wood, a former chief of staff to ex-rep Katie Porter. So that's the lunatic lady in California who was yelling at her staff. So that's interesting. Pivoted to run for the House after Rep. Jared Golden's retirement announcement in the state's 2nd congressional district. He came in 3rd in the primary behind State Senator Joe Baldacci, brother of former Governor John Baldacci, as State Auditor Matt Dunlap won the Democratic nod. So he didn't win anything. Why he would get in the race, I don't know. And I don't think that the Democrats will let him in the race, frankly. I don't think that Sheena Bellows gets it. I think that it is going to be, it doesn't matter that Nirav Shah has money. Not quite sure where that money's coming from. But I think that you're going to see it's going to be either Troy Jackson or Dan Cleveland. My concern is that I don't know, with either of these guys are going to come up clean. I'm not concerned, honestly. I don't feel like the likelihood that these guys will come up squeaky clean is up there. I think that when you have anybody working in the field of alcohol, like the brewer, Cleveland, you're going to have problems. And I think that lager is going to have problems. See, the Democrats, they're out there looking for people who would attract moderate Republicans. They're looking for military people who've served in the military. They're looking for people who, God, country, all that stuff. But to appease their lunatic left base, they find these crazy, they like the Texan guy, I forget his name now. He served in the military. He was a reverend or something. He was a vegan, but he's not a vegan. He's a meat eater. And he's running for Senate in Texas. I can't think of his name right now. But so we have a whole bunch of consultants in the Democrat Party that are not actually doing their homework. And that's good for us, I think. But we still have to worry about, not so well. Yeah, in Maine, I would much rather see the Republicans get behind some independents in the blue states, some blanks, not patriots, not specifically Trumpers, but patriots, and people who want to work for the people, who want government to work for the people. That's what I think. I think that we need to get rid of the deadwood in our own party. Mitch McConnell has to go. He needs to go like yesterday. And it would be great if we had a decent Republican running for his seat this time up. Some people tell me I'm crazy because then we're risking, losing because we have somebody who doesn't have name recognition running for office. But I don't agree with that statement. I think that if we keep pretending that Mitch McConnell's okay, then we're no better than the Democrats telling us that Joe Biden was, in tip-top shape. So, at any rate, I think that one of two things is going to happen. Graham is definitely going to get out. He's got no choice. He's going to get out because they plucked him out of obscurity, and we've investigated him already on this show. And his only goal was to try to keep up the facade and not fuck up the opportunity, and he failed. It's either that or they're going to run half-heartedly, and Susan Collins will have sold out and moved on to the deep state. I don't think that's the case, but I'm not going to put it past her. I'm just not. I really wish that we had looked for somebody else because she doesn't have the balls to do what's necessary. And the flip-flopping is not great. It's just not great. Face it, the electorate is stupid. Well, I don't know. They picked Trump. Yeah, I don't think people are stupid. I think that people are ill-informed. And I think that that's because the news media is designed to cover up what they don't want us to hear and tell us propaganda. The fourth estate is really a problem because somewhere long ago, this free press stuff, we lost it. We lost it. Money took it over. Gone are the days when, people would be telling the truth on a printing press in a basement while the redcoats, were lurking about and they were risking their lives to uncover the truth. Well, I'm not going to say gone are the days because we have a few social media people like Neil Friedman and that other kid that goes out there and gets. Why can't I think of the kid's name? Shit. The one who uncovered all the fraud. Where is my Angela Rickers and everybody who helps me out with my bad memory? Yeah, they're not here tonight. But anyway, let's just see if social media and access to information through social media will start to undermine the propaganda being sold to us by the legacy media. Also, let's keep a good eye on who's going to get picked. Okay, if they stick with this macho man scenario shit, we know that Collins hasn't sold out. If they decide to pick a girl, then it's kind of a toss-up. Then I think that Collins did sell out because the Democrats, these consultants, they build candidates based on what they think will sell to the people in their district, the likely voters in their district. And that's what they did with Collins. That's what they did with the Texas guy. They've been doing that forever. They did that in New York and Staten Island, when they took out Dan Donovan. In 2018, they did it with AOC. They did it with Omar, Tlaib. They built candidates, and that's, it's a smart move. But, eventually people see through you. And I think that there was enough misstepping with Platner that they have enough for commercials and they have enough to actually make people in Maine say, do I really want to vote Democrat? Or am I going to stick with Susan Collins? I mean, she's managed to win all these times, and every time she was behind. So let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the economy. Today, Trump announced that Walmart got rid of their future proofing of their earnings, which was keeping prices in Walmart artificially high. And supposedly the prices are going to come down. We had to bomb Iran again today because of Hormuz, and gas is going up again, but I think it'll go back down. So listen, Gary said, I didn't get notification for this evening podcast. Possibly others didn't also. Oh, yeah, maybe. There was a glitch, and they put up 3 podcasts. And when I tried to get rid of the others, all the podcasts disappeared. So you might be right, Gary. Well, we could do this again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We have other things to talk about. It's been an interesting weekend. I hope you all had a great 4th of July, by the way. I had a really nice one. I thank God that we had no incidents, and I'm going to hope that that had to do with the FBI. And also, I'm very sad that the men's soccer team did not make it, but we kind of knew that it wasn't going to happen. But that was heartbreaking, but it was fun. It was fun rooting for them. Who are you guys rooting for if you're soccer followers? Now that America's out, who are you hoping will win? I have no idea. I'm not a soccer fan, and I don't know who's still left in the game. But I do know that I will not be rooting for France or Italy. There's something about France. I got to tell you, that Macron just bugs me. And I was really disappointed in Italy and what they did to America by not standing by us. So can't root for them. So I don't know. Put it in the comments. Who are you rooting for now to win the World Cup? We could talk more about it tomorrow. Okay, I will see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow.